Okay, we're going to ask you to hang on for just a minute. We have moved our station in Los Angeles. Cary Harrison here, by the way. We have moved to a different location, and they have a series of computers set up, and they need to reboot the entire system. Apparently, there was a storm of some sort somewhere, so they're going to reboot the whole system, kind of like when NASA has to do that, and the inside of the space shuttle goes dark. So I'm just going to ask you to hold for about, I don't know, 3 minutes or so, and then we will be back to you live. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank me so much for not getting really pissed off.
From Los Angeles.
I've spent a decade taking a bite out of conspiracy theories, unraveling urban legends, and grappling with worldwide top secret issues.
I've even racked up some of their awards.
Wow, I mean, first of all, what a question.
Journalism is about telling the truth,
All while ferreting out the bottom line.
I'm a Harrison Hellraiser.
With me, Cary Harrison, as your guide.
Rethinking Heroes, Life After the Military with Cary Harrison.
RethinkingHeroes.com, RethinkingHeroes.com. And there you're going to get links to all the different social media platforms where we are live streaming right here, right now. And because millions of us are trapped in our cars, once you park, you have to get out. Oops, end of show. Nope. Now you can just switch over to your phone and you can actually watch the show and see the attractive faces of our guests. And that's RethinkingHeroes.com. And don't forget, you can sign up for our free newsletter where you're going to get copies of these videos and stories that the FCC would very much prefer we never, ever do. Well, let's just jump on over to, shall we? In a world where the digital and political landscapes intersect more than ever, the saga surrounding the potential sale of TikTok takes center stage. Former W. Bush Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, we all remember him famously, leaning over trillions of dollars on the printing press, just orgasmically doing backflips, the richest man in the world, which of course he is one of the richest men in the world, a pure coincidence after being Treasury Secretary under Donald Trump. I want to say Donald, why not Donald Trump, but swinging Dick Cheney and of course W. Bush. Well, he is reportedly assembling an investor group with sights on acquiring TikTok, sparking conversations about the implications of such a move. And the narrative doesn't stop there now. Mnuchin's investment endeavors have seen him lead a $275 million funding round to buy TikTok, with further funding from the Israeli spy chief. It's a coincidence, of course. Now, this pattern of investment raises questions about the motivations behind the push for TikTok's acquisition and its broader implications on free speech. Critics argue this move is less about banning TikTok and more about shifting ownership in order to silence criticism of contentious topics like genocide and apartheid, popular themes from World War II, with much of the world acting like the tone-deaf Germans of that era. Further, this bill may be nothing but an attempt to censor young Americans' progressive political education, their activism, my God, it sounds like I'm swearing, doesn't it? And their organizing, ooh, another naughty word, under the guise of protecting national security. And then by converting TikTok into a new US-led monopoly. Who would have imagined such a thing in this brave new world? Well, we're finally staring at the real tensions between digital freedom and political control. You never would have imagined TikTok at the heart of a crucial conversation about the future of information, about the future of free speech. Here we are today in these times and in these realities. Let's dive deeper into this complex issue with James Ray, who has spent years doing political education and commentary across social media platforms, including notably TikTok, where he has amassed a following of over 400,000 followers. His primary focus over the recent years has been Palestine and related topics, an active organizer in the Democratic Socialists of America, and works on the ground for myriad issues here and abroad. An example of who gets 400,000 followers and who's actually on TikTok. And here you thought it was the Kardashians. They may be on there too, but who cares? James Ray, welcome to Rethinking Heroes.
Hi, pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to get talking about this today.
Well, and it's fun for you to put you on what we call FM radio all over the country. So now they can hear what people on TikTok hear, and we're going to re-educate and expand your footprint here. Do you think a ban of TikTok could actually create a legal interpretation that might spread to any website that the U.S. might find inconveniently doing stories and reportage that the legacy media has so long been trained to leave the hell alone? Stories about everything from climate change to civil rights, something we virtually never see anymore on the TV set. That seems to be a problem for TikTok, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, TikTok has been a platform that over the last couple of years has really proven itself to be something where information that might not contemporarily spread through other social media platforms, particularly meta platforms, is more viable. Palestine is a really good example of that. Other political education. In 2020, a lot of the political educators on the platform were themselves socialists, communists of this nature. People on the left, even just standard progressives. And our message was able to get spread a lot more effectively than on other social media channels. There's reasons for that in some issues. Meta reportedly, even according to human rights organizations, has been systematically shutting down the spread of Palestinian content for years now. That's intensified post-October 7th. But you also just have general differences in algorithms and performance, et cetera. The US government has traditionally had a bit of a hands-off approach in regards to how they regulate their own people. And there's reasons for that. A lot of these platforms, Meta in particular, has backdoors to help U.S. security and intelligence agencies. A lot of them are working pretty hand in hand with our government in whatever way they deem necessary or fit. And TikTok kind of hasn't been in the same mold as a foreign company, as one that has different algorithmic performances, as one that doesn't have the same constraints as your typical U.S. firm. They've been able to perform in different ways. And in the ways that they have performed has enabled them to dominate the market, especially amongst younger audiences. And that presents a real problem for U.S. governments and politicians. The reality is now, like what you had said with the bill that we have, is that, the legislation itself is not just targeting TikTok, right? The bill itself is written out to basically ensure that any website, any platform, as long as it meets certain specific parameters regarding the countries in which it's coming from, as long, if they are deemed oppositional by U.S. interests, if they are deemed as something the U.S. does not want in their system, they can essentially force a sell-off and or ban the product if the sell-off is not tenable, right? Thus consolidating all of these companies into U.S. hands, into U.S. corporate hands.
Well, isn't that exciting if you are an owner of that? Let's talk for a second about the great Steve Mnuchin. Some people might not be old enough to remember him under W. Bush and swinging Dick Cheney, but this guy grotesquely had women posing over dollar bills in the printing press and the Treasury. I mean, it was so revolting and completely vile. And of course, it was sort of the beginning of the comedy act that is now today's politics. But Steve Mnuchin's history with TikTok and his potential acquisition, why is it raising eyebrows?
Well, I mean, for one, his ties to Israeli investors, his ties to establishment political actors and players is a massive part of that. The reality is that Mnuchin represents a very specific series of interests, both on Capitol Hill and internationally, and those interests play a really big role in my opinion, and probably why he's trying to acquire it. The U.S. for years has been trying to crack down on TikTok, mainly, not just because it's going to benefit corporate actors in the U.S. to consolidate it under U.S. corporations, which especially today are facing a bit of a windfall profit-wise. But also in trying to control narratives. Mnuchin does both for them, right? On one end, you have the consolidation of a large corporation into a series of investors that are going to be aligned with U.S. interests and Israeli interests in this instance. And on the other end, you have a guy who is very not only beholden, but plugged into U.S. political networks across the country, primarily in D.C. And that's a major benefit to people who want to otherwise shut the platform down and or tailor what the platform is actually producing.
Cary Harrison here with you. If you want really good audio, you're going to have to watch the live video stream. I understand that our switch over to a new studio system has multiple computers and that we're having some audio issues, but the video stream is as pure as a small leopard's petard. Just beautiful. You can go to rethinkingheroes.com, rethinkingheroes.com. You get all the live video links if your audio isn't perfect right now. We're also live streaming videos so you can see the face of James Ray. James Ray, who has spent years doing political education across social media, including notably TikTok, where he has amassed over 400,000 followers.
I think I'm up to 656 followers.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. It was a lot of work. He focuses on Palestine. I'm trying to get this audience to switch over to TikTok, but it's a heavy lift.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. It's a whip, all right. He focuses on Palestine and related topics, an active organizer in the Democratic Socialists of America, along with myriad issues here and abroad. His TikTok handle, by the way, is @JamesGetsPolitical. So that jumps to the next obvious question. How do you think the acquisition of TikTok by any group associated with pro-Israel interests or the U.S. government might impact the platform's content? And it's most important and enshrined in our First Amendment. Who doesn't love freedom of speech? But it could go bye-bye, freedom of speech. How do you think that would impact it?
I mean, I think there would be a significant impact. Looking at Meta is kind of the case study, right? I mean, it is a platform that is more beholden to U.S. corporate and political interests, and one that has systematically shuttered and suppressed Palestinian content in particular across its platforms for years. When you have consolidation of these massive social media companies, these massive social media platforms more so, into the hands of a couple of small corporate actors that are all U.S. aligned and all aligned with our government's interests, you're naturally going to see a suppression of content that is deemed unworkable or unsavory to our government itself. We see that again with Meta in Palestine. We've seen it in 2020 with the BLM uprisings. There was constant media suppression across platforms of everything that was going on there as well. And, the one value of TikTok to this point, or one of many, in my opinion, values of TikTok to this point has been that you can disseminate information that ordinarily wouldn't make it into these massive platforms. The big threat with a TikTok ban or a TikTok sale even is that, companies can get in, corporate actors can get in, people with U.S. aligned interests can get in very aggressively and shift up algorithmic performance, shift up which content is being, sent out and not. And that presents a real threat to a lot of people who are organizing and educating on the space. It presents a threat, I think, largely on a larger threat for anyone who really cares about information dissemination and freedom of speech broadly. And it's one of those kind of unifying issues that I think has really unified a lot of people across the political spectrum. It's just a gross overreach.
James Ray, we spend a lot of time here talking about the legacy media, how back when Walter Cronkite croaked, that was pretty much the end. I still, on a daily basis, turn on the TV and I'm waiting for Anderson Cooper to keep them honest. I'm just waiting. And then I'm still waiting. It's been years, but it says keeping them honest right on the screen, and I'm still waiting. And this is really what TikTok is doing. Now, for a radio audience, especially FM public radio, many people might skew over the age of 50. Maybe you hear of TikTok and you think it's some kind of weird pierced nose ring type. I don't know what you think it might be, but it is actually the school ground for all the information you won't see on network television or any on those news platforms. That's where people go for the video side, which is what we're doing right now. We're video streaming this content that would only happen here on this station because we are the most powerful FM on the west of the Mississippi. We are the school for many around the world because we are one of the last bastions of this kind of content. TikTok does the same thing, just short form. And here our guest, James Ray, has 400,000 people listening to what he's talking about in impossibly difficult topics, which are taboo on the mainstream media, but still not on TikTok, but it looks like it could be. And we're told it's national security. Do you feel there's a big issue with national security and TikTok, or maybe an app that takes away zits or other things that might be owned by the same people?
Sorry, can you repeat that really quick? You cut out for just a second on my end.
Sure. It was beautifully well delivered and complex.
My apologies.
So it's okay. TikTok, I'm having fun with you too. TikTok, owned by the Chinese. Well, let me just put it this way. If you're on a dating app and you happen to be like Grindr, for instance, it is owned by the Chinese. And there are things of you on there that are way more interesting than what's your favorite color or what did you eat for dinner last night. That cat is so far out of the bag. That ship has sailed. You can't even see, nothing. It's way off on the horizon. So this is why it's BS. There is nothing on TikTok that suddenly the Chinese, whether you like the Chinese or not, I have to sound like the former president. You know, I don't know if you like the Chinese or not, but everyone has it all. And you know this, of course, James Ray, in Utah, the Mormons, who are terrific at genealogy and collecting people's histories, have, you know, square miles of nothing but giant warehouses that do nothing but suck down terabytes. And then you go to the next level and the next level. Every text you send, every tweet, every voice call, everything is now archived by the U.S. government after 9/11. They're allowed to do that because you may be a terrorist. So there are no secrets. The idea that the Chinese might know your shoe size, and this is a threat to national security. Meanwhile, you've got Haiti going crazy, and we're sitting around going, well, you know, they don't have any natural resources, so I guess they'll just have to figure it out, won't they? This is why it's such BS, isn't it?
No, absolutely. I mean, and it's such an overblown concern as well. I mean, there are legitimate, like as far as data acquisition and purchasing interests in any platform, there are genuine concerns to be had about that. How our data is being shared, how our data is being bought and sold, which, by the way, is true of any data You know, with the U.S., we have data brokers that it doesn't matter what platform you're getting your data, you know, taken from. You're having your data bought and sold constantly. You know, and this is really, in my opinion, a really big point of U.S. hypocrisy and how we attack this issue, which is if you care about data privacy, you care about the security of data users, you would make wide-reaching legislation that would combat that practice amongst all platforms. What we have now is a targeting of one platform for who knows what reason, right? For the sake of just shutting down and stifling the efforts of the only platform that just for whatever reason isn't already consolidated under U.S. corporate interests. And I think that's really interesting. You know, I think it's interesting that when we discuss Facebook or we discuss Twitter, we don't talk about data scrubbing, we don't talk about data brokerage and the sale of our data to private firms and what have you. But when we talk about TikTok, all of a sudden the discussion becomes, well, if your kid is on this, they will become an acolyte of Xi Jinping and all your data is being stolen. Like, I think that's a weird point.
Well, it's ridiculous, but you have to remember the average IQ of a live human, an upright mammal, Homo sapien, is 100. And 90 is considered the R word, which we're not allowed to say because I'll get thrown off the air. But that's what we're dealing with. So the bottom of the pyramid, because the world is shaped like a pyramid, just like the alleged food pyramid that we're supposed to eat more meat, eat more red meat. It's good for you. That food pyramid that we were all raised to eat. So at the bottom of that pyramid are the 100 IQs, and they're the ones, they're 90% of the world, and they're watching America's Got Talent, and they think it's great television. Like they actually do appointment viewing to watch that stuff. And then as the pyramid gets higher, you get higher functioning people that think and analyze, have critical thinking. We like to think that's the audience here. We know that's the audience with you, James Ray, on TikTok, you and your 400,000 followers. But that's kind of it's a smaller group. And so to be able to speak to them and to be able to speak to them freely when we've been locked out. These conversations have been locked out over 95% of all outlets, makes these things critical. So I would ask you, James Ray, considering the pressures on digital platforms, what steps do you think social media companies should take to protect users' rights and freedom of expression?
Well, that's a really good question. You know, there's a lot of policy experts that have really delved into like how we can protect our data. You know, banning the sale and transfer of our data for one would be really cool. Something that I would really appreciate as someone who has had my data taken, as all of us have if we live in this country. You know, restricting what can and cannot be sold, giving better, I think, more transparent ideas to people and more transparent agreements with people over what data they are selling and or not. You know, it's important to recognize that on all social media platforms, given that they're free, you're the product, your data is the product. And it's interesting that we live in a country where in the moment, a lot of our data that is bought and sold, we might have at best a very vague idea of. Increasing transparency in that regard and banning the sale of it, specifically like medical data, things of that nature, in my opinion, is a very good first step in any kind of program to make our data safer on an online space.
And James Ray, let's end with this. The Palestinian-Israel issue is one of the things that they want to go bye-bye. And when I say they, I mean the larger they, because it's a lot of they that want it to go away. That is the discussion, the analysis, and not the team voice of it. We had Charlotte Dennett on here a number of months ago. She's the daughter of one of the founders of the CIA, and he was one of the original guys that laid the original pipes that were going to terminate in Palestine. And she published a book that lists all of the pipelines that go through the Middle East. It turns out in the Gaza Strip, off there is the Gaza Marine with $6 billion of untapped oil. A true rescue to Europe so that it no longer has to take oil from Russia. But unfortunately, it's under the feet of the Palestinians, who actually believe that oil under their feet belongs to them, just like those silly Iraqis and others that we've dealt with throughout history. They think the oil under their feet belongs to them. We all know better. So U.S. corporations are now set up to exploit that oil. And that seems to be the plot of the play. This, at least according to the daughter of the guy who started the CIA, who Freedom of Information Acts has released this information. This is never discussed. It's not looked at. Unfortunately, we're just seeing the hideous, what they cynically call collateral damage, which has now affected well over 1.5 million people. We've got famine on the ground. TikTok, interestingly enough, is about the only place you can still discuss this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one platform in which you can have a general spread of this information in a way that can be ultimately productive and spread well. That's not always the case, right? There's always going to be a level of suppression, particularly of Palestinian activists and organizers. And TikTok has had a history of problems with either censorship or lack of algorithmic performance for non-white creators over the last couple of years, which is a relevant problem, I think. To that end, it is definitely a lot easier to make and spread content, educational and otherwise, on Palestine, for example, on a platform like TikTok than it is on a platform like Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter.
Well, I am so glad you're here today. This has been awesome. And congratulations on your 400,000 followers. You're only doing it because you're trying to save the world. But it goes to show people that want to save the world get 400,000 followers. So this is so positive. You're not putting cat videos on there. I've looked. I didn't see it.
Not yet. I might make the transition.
James Ray has spent years doing political education across social media, including notably TikTok, where he's amassed over 400,000 followers, focusing on Palestine and related topics, an active organizer in the Democratic Socialists of America, along with myriad issues here and abroad. His TikTok handle is @JamesGetsPolitical. And I'm just putting a little note in the chat for you, James, because we would love to have this. More fun to come when we talk to you again. Cary Harrison with you. This is Rethinking Heroes. Coming up, we're going to go to the phones and take your live calls about free speech, social media, or whatever is on your mind in this upside-down world. It's open phones next on Rethinking Heroes at 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. You have a quirky observation, a passionate opinion, a burning thought that's been keeping you up at night? Well, I want to hear it. Release your thoughts from the shadows. Cleanse them in the sunlight. The mic is always yours, my friend. When in doubt, dial out 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK.
Listen, well, it's still legal.
Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison. RethinkingHeroes.com.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? Do you have code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call our special home buying hotline right now. We specialize in buying any home, no matter the situation. Turn that problem property into cash today. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. We can buy your home with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there's no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. We're buying a few more homes in your neighborhood right now. We specialize in buying any home, no matter the situation. Turn that problem property into cash today. So take advantage of this cash offer and call the number on your screen today.
Looking to earn more money online? Well, meet Kartra, that's Kartra, the ultimate all-in-one business platform that makes it easier than ever to boost your income. With Kartra, creators, coaches, and experts can turn their knowledge and services into profits. You can create pages and funnels that attract customers, build memberships that share your knowledge, automate your business to free up your time, and so much more. Kartra has every tool you need to grow your business in one place. And the best part? It's super affordable and easy to use. Are you ready to streamline and scale? Well, head on over to rethinkingheroes.com/money for a free 30-day trial. That's rethinkingheroes.com/money for a free 30-day trial.
Preventing truth decay. Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison. Rethinkingheroes.com.
And now you could switch over to your phone and watch Rethinking Heroes at rethinkingheroes.com, like I said, and see our guests and occasionally some tech-savvy callers. Speaking of which, it used to simply be the National Enquirer, didn't it? And grocery store magazines that served up gossip-based mayhem, which the shopper purchased as truth. TV has long been deregulated. TV news even had an act of Congress to allow it to be merely close to the truth for it to be on the air. And that act occurred in order to save Fox News and give it a second, more vibrant life than it so voluptuously enjoys today, right? People in Europe whose brains have not been fully washed by American media see Fox as the single most effective source of the decline of our culture, as it is not fact-based nor accountable in any traditional journalistic standards, except the Fox Weather Channel is pretty good, in my opinion, because you can't lie about clouds and frozen rose bushes, especially when the viewers can look out their own backyards and fact-check with clinking ice cubes in their vodka glasses. All right, time for you to feel truly heard. Share your thoughts, your concerns with the world. Rethinking Heroes reaches millions of people now, so pick up the phone. Stand out. When in doubt, dial out 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735. That's 818-985-KPFK. Oh, boy. There we go. My mic was muted. I am so sorry. Let's go first to Johnny in Pasadena. You're on Rethinking Heroes. Hello, Johnny.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Yeah, I can barely hear myself, but I guess you can hear me, so I'm going to go ahead.
I can hear you, yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, what you're talking about is the censorship, basically, but it's pervasive, and I think it's related to this era of capital, where you have global capital, which is free-floating like oil on the surface of the earth, just drifting about at its own whim. But it in order to function in this stage, it needs to censor and manage all the output from various free-thinking or free-speeching humans. And this extends to the Pacifica network. I mean, if you see the way that this radio station is operating, especially during the pandemic, you can see the forces of capital coming in and kind of neutering this institution, so none of us are immune. Nothing is immune from this grasp of capital. And you can see that also through the Supreme Court, through things like Citizens United, the Voting Rights Act, getting rid of that. So this is the age that we live in. It's an age of censorship. Real.
Yeah, it really is. And, we're stuck with Sleepy Joe and Honest Don, neither of which has great appeal probably to anyone. But one is absolutely the worst. One has already declared concentration camps on the first day. Doesn't call them that, but there are at least 100 retired military camps here, Air Force bases, things of that, all of which would be occupied with immigrants or people, quote, who are poisoning the blood of America. So we know that under that regime, whatever you and I are saying right here, right now, would become immediately illegal under the FCC, because we would be poisoning poisoning the blood of America. It's already said, it's already been foreshadowed, it's already real. So we're stuck, unfortunately, with what we've got, but we have to fight hard to at least, if it's the other guy, I have to be careful because I'm not endorsing anybody here, but force him and his people, whoever they will be, to do better. Because this is really it. And you're exactly right. We are presaging the end of all we know. And I don't know when your family came over. I don't know when anyone's family came over, but, you know, a lot of us feel really connected to this country. And boy, I'd hate to have to leave if I were even allowed to. You know what I mean? So I appreciate your call. Thank you so much, Johnny. You're awesome. That opens up a line at 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. Apologies for the audio problems we're having today, but we switched over to some massive new studios. There's a ton of computers all daisy-chained and talking to each other. I think it's getting repaired much better. So I am very happy to hear that. And I apologize for my audio, which at least on the video side still sucked. But at least we're trying. Let's go to G in Glendale. G, you're on Rethinking Heroes.
How you doing, Mr. Harrison? Thank you for taking my call. I can hardly hear you even on the phone. I hear you better on the radio. Listen, I want to ask you a question. First of all, I'm from the Islamic Republic of Iran. I'm Muslim living here on stolen land. I mentioned you to Mr. Novik a while ago on a private phone call, and you might want to let him know his line is still not working. I wanted to get your thing. Why? I know why Pacifica does it because, like I've said on other radio shows, Garland Nixon shows, Brad Friedman, and to Mr. Michael Novik and Stephanie Wells, one of the higher-ups, when they did the monthly thing a few months ago. Because I believe it's fully, Pacifica's fully CIA infiltrated. Rest in peace. This is not Lewis Hill and E. John Lewis's station anymore. But I wanted to get your opinion. Why would you have, I mentioned one of the first guests, but not the second guest because this happened a few weeks ago. A while ago, you had a brother from QAnon. Now, I listened to those guys on AM all day. In fact, I'm on all day AM before I was on.
You said from QAnon?
But I don't know
somebody from QAnon?
Somebody, the young lady, I have her name written down. I think.
She was from the Ayn Rand Institute.
I know why Pacifica is letting, this kind of content on here. Because I think
they didn't know. They have nothing to do with it. I brought her on because I wanted people to hear when you give these people a lot of rope and let them walk and talk, they start to tell you the absolute truth about who and what they are. It's one thing for us to sit here and describe them as the enemy, and then we just describe them and then we all chime in. It's another to let them just get relaxed and let them just talk, and then they demonstrate who they really are. And now we know. Now we know what the other side actually thinks. They're telling you what they think. They're telling you what their plan is. You don't have to translate it. It's right there. So I just let her walk right off the gangplank. And it had nothing to do with Pacifica.
Mentioned Gaza and Haiti and all the U.S. empire, the garbage they do around the world for 500 years. But please go ahead and answer. Thank you for taking my call. I'm listening on the air, not off the air, so I might want to come back to you. Thank you, sir. Go ahead and...
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. That opens up another line at 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. And I believe we have Frog in Atlanta, Georgia. Do we have that? Yes, we do. Frog, you're on Rethinking Heroes.
Am I on?
You're on.
It's my first time calling in. My name's Frog. My friends call me Frog, and I just want to come on and because you're a liberal guy, and a friend of mine told me about your show, and I saw that Clint Eastwood was a Harrison Hellraiser, so I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna go on and educate this guy, and I want to tell you that I'm very excited. I know you're talking about TikTok and all the cute cat videos and everything. But I'm just real excited about the fact that because they're having this witch hunt with our President Trump, and I know this is true. I'm sorry.
Is he the president?
Yeah, he's still president. He's running from his Oval Office down in Mar-a-Lago.
Okay.
So, and Harry Lake from Arizona has got a room there. So and that makes sense because you know they like to play golf, and you know he's close to his favorite golf course.
And what could be more important when governing a country when you think about it?
Hey, everybody's got to get a little R&R, you know, every now and again. So because of this witch hunt with all the legal stuff that's going on, you know, it's done by the Obama crime syndicate. I say Obama because, you know, he's the one still in charge. You know, he's still running the puppet show with old man Puppet Biden. And I know this is true because Rudy Giuliani says it, Marjorie Taylor Greene says it, and the My Pillow guy.
Well, and they would know.
Yeah. So and I'm excited about all this merchandise, though, that's coming out. You know, that Trump.
I am too. I like the $60 Bibles. And who better to vend a Bible than Donald John Trump, a no greater Christian has Earth ever known. It doesn't matter if you're a pope, if you are a bishop. It doesn't matter if you have flagellated yourself for all of your many, many sins. I don't think you've ever been as contrite, as concerned about the words of Jesus Christ and the New Testament and acting those very words out on a daily basis than Donald J. Trump. When you see a woman's vagina, you know it is your vagina to grab as you wish, just as Jesus had offered many times.
When he came out with those NFT trading cards, did you see those? You know, he was a cowboy, he was an astronaut, and he was a super Trump with laser vision and kung fu grip, you know, just for, you know, grabbing the girls. That's right.
That's right. And swindling, as we know, Jesus was a big fan of swindling when he actually put the bankers in the temple and moved casinos into the temples because that's what he wanted. The Romans didn't want that, but Jesus wanted it. And really, he was the father of modern capitalism, right?
I think you're trying to be funny right now.
Not
you
at
said
all.
flatulent a little while ago.
About this.
So, yeah, I think you're making fun of me. Anyway, the Trump coins, those were good. And now, yeah, he's got the All-American Bible, man. If you want to get, I live in a trailer, so I got money, you know, that I can give out to good causes like this.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, if you got to have a Bible and you got to have a Bible, you might as well have an All-American Bible. That's what I'm saying. You know, and Trump's giving it to us. So there you go.
He is giving it to you, my friend. He is giving it to you in spades. You have no idea. And what is the value? Why $59.95? What is different in this Bible than that say would be offered by my church, would be the Episcopal Church? Why would that Bible be worth $59 and my Bible be worth $7.99? And it has exactly the same words in it. What has happened since Donald Trump has it in a giant warehouse somewhere with trucks selling thousands of units, and he's never even seen this product? How is it more spiritual? I'd love to know.
Well, my God, you talk a long time. You know, all you had to say was, why is it so darn expensive? And you went on for like 3 minutes. Anyway, it's probably because I'm guessing he's going to autograph them like he did with the sneakers. Remember the sneakers came out a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Those were bad, man. Those were better than anything Kanye West ever came out with. I'm telling you right now. So, yeah, I imagine that he signs it, which makes it very personal. And I imagine there's some gold leaf on the cover. And I suspect, I'm not sure about this now, but I suspect that he's probably got a page in there that has his favorite Bible quotations in it. And that's again, he doesn't like to tell the news media about that. He keeps that very personal, but I bet it's there in that All-American Bible. I bet.
So he knows that he has favorite Bible passages within that very Bible, but he's not going to brag about what those passages are. And therefore, if they're just secret, they're in his head, and it could be any Bible passage, but he's got favorites. And that's why he's doing it, so that he can know that when you're reading it, you're going to cross one of his favorite Bible passages and really become shriven by that experience.
See, if he gives it to the media, they're just going to twist it and turn it and use it against him. So he's going to leave it, be personal, and leave it just to us.
Let me ask you, Frog. You're in Atlanta, Georgia, a place where Mr. Trump is spending a fair amount of time in court for having, disrupted elections, things that go absolutely patently against democracy and against the will of the people. Let's say you voted for Donald Trump and you actually found out that Joe Biden, let's reverse the situation, that Joe Biden refused to let your vote get counted. You'd be pretty upset. So that's why he's in your state and in your city dealing with legal issues right now. But let's just say that what you're looking to, I don't know what you're looking to do here, actually. Maybe you could help us out.
Again, it was all a scam. I hope that my vote was one of the ones that was counted. Yeah, for sure. I voted for him in 2016. I voted for him in 2020. And again, I'm going to vote for him in 2024. And I hope that, our votes are counted. But the Dominion machine people got all them good, great lawyers. And that makes it a problem for people who are trying to get their votes counted.
Well, Trump has a lot of good, great lawyers too. But that doesn't seem to be a problem. So I guess we can't say that lawyers are the problem. But I'm just wondering and I understand the appeal of Donald Trump. So focus me here where I'm wrong. Donald Trump is the party of more. It's unlimited 24-hour barbecues, all the beer you can drink, women to just grab and take as you wish on demand. Eat, drive, drive a Hummer, just burn as much fuel as you can. No climate change, no issues. Take, conquer, rape 14-year-old girls, unlimited supply through your friend Jeffrey Epstein. Just have at it. Go for it. Do whatever you want. The Democrats, on the other hand, are the party of less. Can you burn less gas, please? Maybe drive an electric car. Try to recycle. It's the party of less. So I see the appeal for someone like you, Frog, in Georgia. I see how you would want unlimited barbecues. Imagine if you could just gnaw on pork for 24 straight hours, vomit, then fill yourself with red meat, vomit, and then have another 3 cases of beer. Isn't that a great, Tuesday night for you?
Of course we like barbecue. I mean, come on. But anyway, who doesn't like barbecue? And no, I don't vomit it up after I do it. I'm not bulimic. All right. I know what that is. But as far as these electric cars, come on now. Have you seen these bad boys? They look like little clown cars now. And they haven't made an electric truck that I know of yet. I'd like to see that.
Well, Ford did, but they found that they weren't selling as many. I think that was the 150 electric. The problem is someone like you might drive out into a rural area and then you run out of electricity and then you're stranded. So at least you were smart enough.
Try going all on range, 4-wheel drive, in one of those little clown cars. Come on. That don't make no sense.
Well, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your call, Frog, and thank you for this insight, because really, I have to get in your shoes to be able to understand where you're walking. And I appreciate you having me on, because, I thought you were going to really tear into me, but I can see how Clint Eastwood likes you now. He sure does. Yes, I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much, Frog. All right. Have a good one. Great. I understand that the audio problems have been resolved, so I am thrilled. So we're going to be able to squeeze a couple of more calls in at 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. We're going to pause for a second. Your calls on the backside.
We are in complete control. Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison, rethinkingheroes.com.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.
Looking to earn more money online? Well, meet Kartra, that's Kartra, the ultimate all-in-one business platform that makes it easier than ever to boost your income. With Kartra, creators, coaches, and experts can turn their knowledge and services into profits. You can create pages and funnels that attract customers, build memberships that share your knowledge, automate your business to free up your time, and so much more. Kartra has every tool you need to grow your business in one place. And the best part? It's super affordable and easy to use. Are you ready to streamline and scale? Well, head on over to rethinkingheroes.com/money for a free 30-day trial. That's rethinkingheroes.com/money for a free 30-day trial.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available.
And it is Rethinking Heroes, rethinkingheroes.com. Don't forget, you can get the live stream of this video simply by going to rethinkingheroes.com. You'll also be able to get a copy of this forever and ever in perpetuity. And if you get our free newsletter at rethinkingheroes.com, you're going to get a copy of these videos, plus other stories that we simply cannot do on the radio, stuff that might be sensitive. Let's just say that there's just certain things you just can't do. And so we will do it for you, much as the discussion about what's on TikTok earlier that had James Ray, our former guest, pulling in 400,000 followers, and he's doing real news. He's talking about real stuff, no cats. So it's out there, it's real, and it's positive. And just know there are tens and tens of millions of us out there who really hunger, who thirst for real information. And they're out there. So the key is to corral them. We corral them here on this radio station. He corrals them there on TikTok, and they're all over the place. The problem with getting rid of TikTok is obvious. It is one of the last free speech places, just like this radio station. One of the last places where people from anywhere can talk about what they want. And right now, it remains completely uncensored. What they're talking about is inconvenient to people who want to own everything, people who want to prosecute wars, people who want to do whatever they want to do. They don't own TikTok, therefore they must own TikTok. It's also important to remember that these are public platforms, not public like the park where anybody can walk on it because you're a taxpayer, but it's private property with a public footprint, just like Facebook is private property. So really, Mark Zuckerberg can do whatever he wants. We think that we're somehow employee owned. We're owners. No, you're nothing. He's not charging you to go on his lawn. He's not coming on your lawn. You're walking on his lawn. So we have to be careful to remember that they get to do whatever they want, even if there's 10 billion people on there. That's when a government comes in and decides it's actually a utility, like a phone company. Then it has a different standard. That's really what needs to be looked at right now by the government. Cary Harrison with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next week here on Rethinking Heroes. And don't forget to get our free newsletter at rethinkingheroes.com.
Listen while it's still legal.
Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison. rethinkingheroes.com.